Hey, what's up everybody, and welcome back to the channel. In today's video, we're going to be talking about the all-new 2024 Kawasaki ELIMINATOR. And at the end of this video, I'm going to tell you whether or not this bike right here is ultimately a good buy, or if you should be saying goodbye. We're going to talk over some specs, I'm going to get you an exhaust clip, and then I'm going to take you guys out for a test ride. Before we get going, I want to acknowledge that this video would not have been possible without the help of Big St. Charles Motorsports in St. Charles, Missouri. Big St. Charles Motorsports is one of the biggest power sports dealers in the Midwest, and they have well over 1,000 units in inventory at any given time. The owner of Big St. Charles Motorsports was kind enough to let me take this motorcycle out for a test ride, so a big thank you to them. If you guys could, show them some love, go visit their website, check out their inventory, and who knows, maybe you'll even find something you like. Give them a call sometime, 636-946-6487, or visit them online at bigstcharlesmotorsports.com. One final thing before we get going here, if you guys enjoy these types of videos and you want to see more videos like this, please consider subscribing to the channel. It helps me out a ton. And if you're enjoying this style of content, let me know by hitting that like button. Enough of that, let's start talking about this motorcycle. The brakes at the front of this motorcycle are provided by Nissan. It is a single disc setup, and that disc is pinched between a twin piston caliper. The suspension up front is a standard telescopic fork, and those forks come in at 41 millimeters in diameter. There is no adjustability in these forks. Rear brake setup is a 220 millimeter disc pinched between a single piston caliper. And our suspension setup in the rear is a twin shock setup with coilover style shocks. These shocks do have a progressive spring rate, as you can see here. This means that the shocks are not as tightly wound at the top as they are at the bottom portion, where they're much more closer together. The only real adjustment on this motorcycle for the suspension is the preload in the rear. Moving on, next we're going to be talking about the engine in the ELIMINATOR. This engine is derived from the already existing Ninja 400/Z400 platform. All Kawasaki did to it was lengthen the stroke, bringing the total displacement to 451 cc's. With this motor being the same as the Ninja 400, but having a longer stroke, we can probably expect similar horsepower output numbers. However, we can definitely see some torque gains across that curve. The actual output for this engine is going to be right under 50 horsepower. I believe 49 is what I've seen at the crank. So by the time that power makes its way through the system, down to the wheel and into the pavement, you can probably expect about 44 to 46-ish horsepower. Claimed torque output on Kawasaki's website comes in at 31.7 foot-pound. This is a very beginner-friendly engine, and it's kind of unique that it's stuffed into this cruiser chassis whenever it's a very sport-oriented engine, kind of making a sport-cruiser mix of the two worlds. This motorcycle isn't super heavy, but it definitely is heavier than its Ninja 400 counterpart that the motor was derived from. The ELIMINATOR comes in at 382 pounds, which is almost but not quite as heavy as ya mama. Oh! Just like the rest of the motorcycle, the seat height remains very beginner-friendly. For reference, I'm about 6'1", I have a 33-inch waist and a 32-inch length on the jeans that I'm wearing, and this is how I fit up on the motorcycle. You can see both of my feet are firmly planted on the ground, no problem, little bend in my knees, and whenever my foot is on the peg, my foot is ever so slightly out in front of me, but not directly underneath of me. Now that we've talked seating position, let's talk about some features on this motorcycle, like the full LED lighting all the way around. I'm so happy that manufacturers are finally updating the turn signals that they're using from the factory to be a little bit more premium and deluxe looking. These things look crispy, I'm telling you. And that LED headlight is going to give you ample lighting in any low light scenario where you need it to come in clutch. The rear tail section of the bike is pretty delightful. I do like that they don't have a massive diving board hanging off the rear. This fender isn't super in your face, it's still there, but it's actually tolerable, unlike the traditional Japanese diving board that comes with most of these sport motorcycles. And this is one small detail that really jumps out to me about this motorcycle. Kawasaki didn't have to finish the frame with what they did, but they did, and I really like it. It's kind of like a plated, painted type of material. I don't know what to call it, but I like the way it looks. It's a beautiful finish, and it accentuates this motorcycle very, very well. Good job, Kawasaki. And now we're on to the gauge cluster, and oh, look at that, a dog. Yes, there was a dog present during filming. She was very, very sweet, very, very happy to see me, and then she was gone just as quickly as she had shown up. Back to the video. This is just your standard LCD gauge, gives you the stuff that you want to see: neutral light, gear position indicator, you have your RPM sweeping along the top, fuel mileage, it even spits out average, instant fuel economy. A little bit hard to read when the sun's overhead like that, but It does what it's supposed to do, and on a bike of this caliber, you know, what can you really expect aside from the standard LCD gauge? You can also certainly expect the standard Kawasaki buttons. These are featured on nearly every single freaking motorcycle they make, except for their top tier motorcycles like the ZX-10, H2, and stuff like that. But the Eliminator is just not that premium of a motorcycle, but for the little package that it is, it's actually very well put together. I'm excited to ride it. I'm excited for you guys to see me ride it. Before we do that, let's go ahead and jump to the exhaust clip so you guys can hear what this motor sounds like. Alright everybody, welcome to the test ride portion of the video. For the beginning of this test ride, I do want to play around in the parking lot a little bit. I know this engine, but I don't know this motorcycle, so I'm gonna stop for a minute here and kind of get familiar with it, do some low speed maneuvers, set some marks for myself, get familiar with where the bike likes to turn in, find that friction zone, and make sure that I can handle this beast out on the roadways. Alright, let's do a 2 parking spot turn. So I'm gonna make it a point to start on this white line right here, and I'm gonna turn in before that white line over there. Here we go. Easy peasy. It's a good little exercise you can set up for yourself in a parking lot. Plenty of marks that you can make up and hit on your own, and low speed maneuvers are probably the hardest part about getting antiquated with your new motorcycle, or any motorcycle for that matter. So I think we're pretty well good to go. I mean, I can feel where the bike likes to be leaned. It handles pretty nicely at low speed. I like it. Scrub those brakes in right quick, make sure that we've got our surfaces semi-mated. This is a brand new motorcycle, guys. And again, Big St. Charles Motorsports, thank you so much for letting me take this out. Please keep in mind, Omnimoto and Big St. Charles Motorsports are not affiliated in any other capacity aside from them letting me use this motorcycle. So anything that I say in this video, please do not put in their mouth. It is not their problem if I say anything dumb. I've had a couple comments lately also talking about, why are you thrashing new engines? Well, you know what? If I went by the book and did a break-in procedure ride, I would never see anything over like 5,000 RPM, and that's not why I make these videos. I make these videos for you guys to see these bikes get put through the paces in real-world scenarios, and that is what I intend to continue doing. Man, first thing right away, the Eliminator. That off-the-line torque is readily available. It's not an overzealous amount, it's a very usable amount, and for a beginner you don't need a ton of torque. And I'm kind of just putzing right along here, 5th gear, 45 miles per hour, we're pulling 4,000 RPM. There's a little bit of vibration coming from that little parallel twin stuffed in between my legs, but nothing that is going to be detrimental to me enjoying my ride. And also, I kind of like to feel the bike down there. You know, it's alive and it's kind of talking with you, you know? So keep talking, baby. You know, the tank looks really long. I don't know if it looks long to you guys, but it does look long to me sitting in the saddle. The bars, however, they're probably right where you'd want them, really. I'm pulled slightly forward, but not terribly. And maybe, you know, I won't even notice that as the ride continues, but I am pulled slightly forward. The seat is, it's interesting. At my height, my tailbone is touching the rear pillion seat. I've had that problem before with a couple motorcycles that I've test ridden, but something that I am noticing, and it's the little things that add up and paint a much larger picture. I'm really enjoying myself so far though. I think Kawasaki with their Vulcan 650 and both the Eliminator 450, I'll call it, along with Honda's Rebel 500 and their Rebel 1100, they're kind of in this unique world of cruisers using liquid-cooled dual overhead cam, high revving horsepower focused engines. So we have an interesting blend of cruiser meets sport. So you get this kind of hybrid motorcycle, not the powertrain hybrid. I'm talking
a blended motorcycle, if you will, where it does both things fairly well. It's pretty sporty, but it's a cruiser with cruiser ergonomics, and you can feel the cruiser ergonomics, but at the same time the engine kind of does what sport bike engines do, where they ask to be revved semi-high. You know, they like to be ridden in the middle of the power band, especially on this 400cc platform. Wow, what is this? I've never been over here. This is my first test ride out in the St. Charles area. What is this? Lakeside Park, City of St. Peters. Whoa! Look at this lake! Whoa! What's archery? Dog park? Whoa! This place is so nice! Oh my gosh! The speed limit says 15, but that car's definitely not doing 15. And I'm definitely not doing 15. And the truck behind me is definitely not doing 15. So I'm going to continue to not do 15. This is, of course, augmented reality. None of this is real. This is all a simulation. So I'm off the hook for any legalities. Man, low speed. This is nice. What do we have on the dash here? So we got odometer, trip A, trip B. Oh, okay, so we have instant miles per gallon here. Average miles per gallon there. I'm averaging 26.6 miles per gallon right now with 5 miles of data for the motorcycle to go off of. Man, look at this place. This is beautiful. You know, this is like the proper area for a cruiser motorcycle to kind of roll and putz through. I've slowed it down to about 20 miles per hour now in second gear. This bike is having a dandy time sitting right here. No complaints out of it. No weird chatters, no weird lurching. Speaking of lurching, let's open the throttle just very quickly and see if we have that lurchiness that occurs on some of these small displacement bikes in the lower RPM and throttle opening and closing positions. Yeah, I mean, if you snap into it, sure. But generally, it's a very predictable motor, and it doesn't immediately come on if you don't tell it to. Got ourselves a little roundabout here. Gonna turn around and go back this way, and then I'm gonna go back around and do it again. That truck was kind of aggravating me behind me. He wasn't doing anything aggravating. I just don't like when cars are behind me and I'm trying to do a test ride and focus. The clutch pull, man, look at just one finger right there. Watch that again. Here we go. Clutch pull, one finger. That's so light. So very light. Those people are living. Wow, and we've come to the end of the park. I'm so glad I found this. I'm gonna come here later. This is so nice. I keep focusing on the park. I need to be focusing on the bike. I'm really enjoying it so far. I'm having a great time. I think you'd be hard-pressed to not have a great time with this bike. Let's check the lean angle here in the roundabout. Looking pretty good, man. So much confidence in this bike that I have right now. Damn, I just went like full Yoda on that sentence. Much confidence in this bike I have right now. Okay, I'm gonna motor through this and then I will bring it back to you guys whenever we get back out on the roadways. Oh, psych, interruption. If you guys want some vintage, retro, classic, and quality motorcycle clothing, hit up my friends over at Fogey Garage. Their clothes really lean towards the kind of scrambler, custom, and rogue scene, but they also have a classic blend of looks to them as well. You can get 10% off of your entire order using code OMNI10. And on top of that, if you're in the market for a motorcycle dash cam, please give my friends over at Vantrue a visit. Use code OMNIMOTO for not just 5%, not 10%, and not 15%, but 17% off all motorcycle dash cam systems. You can check out my review for the Falcon F1 in this video right up here in the top right corner. All right, sorry to interrupt, back to the video. Alright guys, we are going to try a 0 to 60 test on this bike. This will probably be the hardest this bike gets ridden for this entire test ride. So I hope you enjoy this. I'm not a professional, I'm not going to claim to be one. Here we go. 3, 2, 1. 60. Yeah, man. The Eliminator gets down pretty well off the line. It's not a crazy amount of power, but it's a usable amount of power that drives you forward, and it does it very efficiently and effectively. And just so everybody can see that I'm not taking a fresh engine down the interstate at one consistent RPM and not mating the surfaces properly, look at me. I'm varying my speed, I'm switching my gears, going about 40 to 80% throttle, doing pulls, and doing the break-in procedure to an extent. And chances are I'm getting this motor mated and broken in for the way that it's going to be ridden whenever someone actually takes ownership of it. So there's this big misconception that you have to baby your engine on the break-in, and I don't really know where that came from. Maybe back in the day whenever lubrication technologies and cooling technologies weren't really all that great, sure, I could see why a soft break-in would be necessary, but with today's manufacturing, cooling, and lubricating technologies and capabilities, I don't think that's something that is necessary for a true break-in procedure. Realistically, I think you should break in your engine just like it's not needing to be broke in. Ride it how you're going to ride it. That way, whenever you do go to ride it, in the actual manner you're going to ride it in, you have a motor that is acclimated and accustomed to being ridden that way. So it's broken in for the parameters at which you will be riding it under. And that concludes my rant on braking in motorcycles. Me go. We're pulling 80 miles per hour, 6th gear. I'm right here keeping up with a Hellcat. Look at that. They gave me a thumbs up. That's nice of them. Oh my. Thank you so much. All right. Oh, and who's this? Is this a brother on 3 wheels? Wow, he just let that car in. What a good guy. Great job, my man. Wow, what a... Oh, man. Where's the freaking helmet? Like bugs in your teeth? You know how hard it hurts whenever a bug smacks you in the face? Not even the teeth, just like in the face, in the chest. Oh, it does not feel good, man. Speaking from experience here, you know, I'm wearing a t-shirt today. I'm not in full gear either, but at least I have a brain bucket on, protecting my melon. It's been an interesting day test riding the Eliminator 400. I had a lot of fun on it. I had a lot of fun with it. It's very pleasant to ride. It's fun to ride. And I've said this in my videos before, I will say it in this video. It is more fun to ride slow motorcycles fast than it is to ride fast motorcycles slow, and this is a prime example of that. This is not a super fast motorcycle, and does it not... I'm watching you. Yeah, that's right. Look away. Little
punk ass little bitch.
No, I'm kidding. He seems like a nice child. Yeah. I had a stellar time riding this bike today. Yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed watching this video as much as I enjoyed making it and creating it. Let's get into that final part of the video where I tell you whether or not you should be picking one of these up. Oh, there's that dog again. Oh, that dog thirsty. Whoa. Alright, I know I've said it twice already, but thank you so much, Big St. Charles Motorsports, for letting me take out the Eliminator from Kawasaki. You didn't have to, but you did, and for that, we thank you. Let's start off with who this motorcycle is for. If you're looking for your first entry-level motorcycle, this is such a beautiful, well-put-together package. It looks great, it handles great, it's got ample power, and you can even grow with this power plant and learn to use the weapon that you've been provided if you choose to move forward with a purchase of one of these. If you finance it, you're probably going to end up spending less than $200 a month. If you buy it, you're going to be starting out at the $66.49 MSRP. Any associated dealer fees stacked on top of that are subject to whichever dealer you purchase from. Again, I don't speak for Big St. Charles, but you can call down here to this phone number right here to speak with one of their sales associates. This bike is very comfortable, easy to learn on, and it could go a really long way if it's your first motorcycle. It's going to give you a ton of utility, and I don't think that if this is your first bike, you'll outgrow it super quick. And the insurance is super cheap on a cruiser motorcycle as well. So you get the fun factor of a sport bike engine and a cruiser chassis with more relaxed ergonomics. And that low seat height gives you a ton of confidence, and the fuel economy is like 45 to 55 miles per gallon, which is pretty stinking efficient. So for all of those reasons, I think the Eliminator is a good buy. Now, who is this bike not for, and why wouldn't you want one? Obviously, if you're a much larger individual, you're a bigger guy, I don't know that the Eliminator is something that you should be considering. The mid-length foot pegs are going to make you feel a little bit cramped on it, and odds are your tailbone's going to suffer the same fate as mine, and it's going to be rubbing right on the rear of that pillion seat right there the entire time you're riding. If you're someone with a lot of prior experience on dirt, I'm not saying that dirt equals good at street riding, but if you do have the dirt experience, you might hop on the Eliminator and you might make a mistake because this bike may not be enough for your first motorcycle. You might look at something a little bit larger like a Vulcan 650 that's still new rider friendly but has much more power to entertain you, grow with you, and keep you happy for a longer amount of time, which means that you spend less money in the long run because you're not upgrading as soon. If you also need a lot of storage, this probably isn't the best option. It's a pretty exposed motorcycle in terms of the engine and transmission just being out there, which means there's not a lot of body work on it, which means there's not very many places to store luggage, stuff like that. It looks like there are spots on the rear for maybe some saddlebags. You could always add a tank bag. You could even add a tail bag at the rear. Just keep in mind from the factory, this bike doesn't come with much storage. So if that's what you're after, this is probably not a good option for you. Aside from those items, I really can't think of any other reason why you wouldn't pick one of these up if you're looking at it as an option. So for those reasons, if they apply to you and you're jiving with what I'm saying, then you should be saying goodbye. If you're looking for a similar motorcycle, the Rebel 500 is an excellent choice from Honda. Doesn't make as much power, but it's a little bit more efficient. You can check out more about how this bike compares to that bike by watching this comparison video up here. So that will go ahead and wrap up today's video. I want to thank you guys so much for watching. Again, Big St. Charles Motorsports, give them a call for all your motorcycling needs if you're interested in one of these brands that you see on the wall here. And you can always shoot me an email and I'll get you in touch with someone at the store. You can send that to omnimoto1@gmail.com. I don't have anything else for now. I want to say thank you guys so much for watching. It's really good to be back and doing motorcycle reviews again. I hope that you enjoyed the content that I brought you today. Please consider subscribing to the channel, leaving a like on this video if you enjoyed it, and dropping me a comment down below telling me what you think about the Kawasaki Eliminator. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you have a wonderful week. Be kind and ride safe.